ones. First of all, we are developing this open robotics middleware, where we would like to empower European industries with a robust and real-time open source middleware. Of course, this project is about human-robotic interaction, and we are creating a trustworthy framework and a methodology for having this industrial human-robot interaction in a trustworthy way. As part of the consortium, and also starting with you today, we want to have the best-in-class human-robotic interaction use cases. For that, we are deploying and maintaining 4 testing and experimental facilities that we will show you today, that are providing and working to show you some best practice examples that we started from the very beginning in the project. The 4 objectives is involving you as FSTP experiments. We want to engage with a lot of European supplier SMEs and startups and end users to support and help us of this adaptation and the refinement of all the technical stuff that we will tell you about later. Based on our work and your contributions of the FSTP experiments, we would like to have at the end of the project this open human-robotic interaction toolbox, where we want to have an open library of reliable open source and based on AI modules with off-the-shelf AI skills that will be applied to human-robotic interaction. And last but not least, we want to have this long-lasting ecosystem that survives beyond the ARISE project. So we are able to provide this referent ecosystem that will support open innovation in industrial robotics beyond our own project. The ARISE middleware is one of the main characters of our project. My colleague Francisco from Fiber Foundation, he will tell you a little bit about it, but in a sense, we are merging the Fireware and the ROS 2 worlds to make this open source middleware where the 2 worlds coming from the ROS environment and from the operational environment, from the industrial environment, can talk in a very seamless way, and to enhance all the human-robotic interaction, we want to have this ROS for HRAI standard or de facto standard. So everything is connected in a more seamless way from the point of view of human-robotic interaction. Well, like I said, our testing experimental facilities that we will tell you more about it, where they are led by Politecnico di Milano, PAL Robotics, Intellimec, and ASCARTIF. We have been using from the very beginning as a source of inspiration for the requirements of this ARISE middleware. In the same time, this ARISE middleware that is being developed and refined, we are implementing in our own testing experimental facilities some examples that we will show you later on. And the idea that we have is that these testing experimental facilities will interact with the outside world, for example, from the point of view of the FSTP experiments, providing challenges and inspiring examples of application of these challenges, also based on our all-in-one middleware, the ARISE middleware. From the point of view of ethics and social and SSH aspects, we are collaborating with our partner Demos Helsinki, experts in SSH, to make analysis, interviews, and visits to gather this framework that we want to put in the project for becoming to have this ethics and SSH framework. Okay, And also from the point of view of the support and mentoring that we will provide to all of you, to all the FSTP experiments, and collaborating with Intellimec and Funding Box, we will be able to use or to leverage our experience in the testing and experimental facilities to provide you our best efforts to support and mentor you along the process of creating the interesting experiments that we will love to help you. We have our life cycle and roadmap. Like I said, we want to create this Arise toolbox that is mainly composed of the open source all-in-one middleware, our testing experimental facilities, our SSH, Arise SSH framework, and this library of human robotic interaction modules. And for that, we have been thinking about some challenges that we want to propose you to attack somehow in this first round of FSTP calls. Based on that, all the funding experiments will undergo an evaluation and continuous evaluation and a mentoring. And at the end of this first round of experiments, we hope to have industrial solution and demonstrators and some reusable human robotic interaction modules. We'll help you also with all the business development and to be part of the ecosystem that we want to build based on the fireware community, on the ROS community, also on the ADRA community and the powerful AI on-demand platform. And we want to keep this cycle during the project with an additional second round of FSTP calls, and beyond the project, like we said, to have the community of human robotic interaction powered by the open source middleware and all the library of human robotic interaction modules that we will generate then, but we also will ask you to be part of this library of HRI modules, human robotic interaction modules, that hopefully will be put to the European human robotic interaction community. So new projects and new challenges can be easily attacked once the project is finished. And after this first introduction to the project, I leave the floor to our colleague Antonio Montalbo from Funding Box. So he will tell you more about how this first Arise open call will work.
Okay, thank you very much, Aníbal, and thank you everyone for attending this first webinar. We are going to actually have two webinars, one today, and the other one is going to happen next month. It will be announced properly in due time. So if we can go to the next slide. Yeah, the first open call was opened on the 14th of October, and it will be open until the 16th of January, not 2024, but 2025. Sorry for the mistake. So you still have almost 2 months to apply. You can check the QR code here, or you can go directly to our microsite, which is arise.fundingbox.com, and then you will have all the information about the open call. So what I'm going to do today is just to summarize the main points of this open call, but you can get into more detail in the documents and the help desk that you can find in this microsite. Please, the next one. Probably this is one of the most important slides of my presentation, and it is who can apply. As Aníbal has said, the intention of this open calls, and the FSTP, the financial support to third parties that are accompanying this open call, is to select a number of experiments that can address a number of challenges that will be described later. And for that, we need to have basically two stakeholders or two profiles in the experiment. One is the technology provider side, the other one is the end user side. Now, what is the composition of this consortia, I would say, of technology provider and end user? We have different possibilities. And that's why we are mentioning that at the beginning that there is a maximum of 2 entities. There is a requirement for any of the teams that are going to apply is that at least one of the entities is an SME. This is a requirement from the European Commission. So the leader of this team has to be an SME. Now, the technology providers can be, of course, SMEs, and in the SMEs, we are going to include the startups so that there is no confusion between what it is qualified as a startup or as an SME, and also the mid-caps. As you know, the SMEs can go up to 250 employees per company. The mid-caps go up to 500. So I would say that quite large companies can apply, not the big companies. And for the end users, there are different potential scenarios. The first one is that the technology provider is an SME. Then the end user can be either the same SME. I mean, imagine that you are a company, an SME, that can play the role of being a technology provider, but you also can be an end user, because the requirement for being an end user is that you can propose a use case scenario, and you have some, I would say, facilities to implement this use case. Whereas the technology provider, of course, is in charge of the development of the human-robotic interaction solution. Now, as I said, if the technology provider is an SME, then the end user can be the same SME or another entity of any type. So it could be a startup, a mid-cap, a big company, and also non-profit entities, including RTOs and universities. So, but the requirement, as I say, is that the technology provider for that has to be an SME. If the technology provider is not an SME, then the end user has to be an SME. And why? And this is because there is a requirement for the Commission that the leader of the team has to be an SME. So we need to have at least one SME. And just to insist in the end that if the team can be composed of just one SME, if, of course, this SME is fulfilling the roles of the technology provider and the end user. So the next slide, please. So what are the benefits of these open calls? First, I'd like to mention that there will be 2 open calls organized. So this is the first open call. Next year, there will be another open call to be organized. That in this open call, we will select up to 13 beneficiaries. And in total, for the whole program, we will have 26 experiments to be selected. And for those who are selected, they will participate in a 12-month support program. And in this support program, there will be mentoring that it will be done. It will be a technical mentoring, but also business mentoring that will be provided by the partners of the consortium. So it's a 12-month program, and each beneficiary, and let's call beneficiary the selected team. So the beneficiary can be either a single applicant, a single company, or two entities composing the team of that beneficiary. And that beneficiary as a whole will receive up to 200,000 euros. Okay. Now, the distribution of this amount between the partners of the team is up to you. It has to be reasonable, of course. It has to be sound, and we will. I will mention that later on. That there is a budget and needs to be proposed and submitted to us for our evaluators to assess whether it is a reasonable budget or not. So the distribution can be free, but the total amount is 200,000 euros. And that's all. It's important to note that here in the SMEs, whether you are an SME or an RTO or mid-cap, etc., there will be no limitation in terms of any other funds that you might have received, and there will be no cutoff of your budget in terms of the 70% rule that most of you that that in the Horizon Europe projects are applicable to SMEs, whereas non-profit entities normally they receive 100% of the budget they propose. Here, every partner, every type of company, every type of entity will receive 100% of the budget they are proposing. The next slide, please. Now, to be eligible, apart from, of course, be compliant with the composition of the team. So if, for example, the technology provider is mid-cap and the end user is an RTO, it is not eligible because we need to have at least one SME. But apart from that, there is a deadline that I already mentioned. It's January 16th, 2025. Again, there is a mistake here in the year. But the important thing is that it has to be at 5 o'clock Brussels time, 17 hours. Because we have in many calls people that wait until the very last minute, and sometimes the system is busy, and you get your application submitted after that time. We are not accepting any proposal that is submitted afterwards. So my recommendation is that you submit your application before this deadline. You can submit as many times as you wish. So imagine that you are drafting, you don't have the whole presentation, sorry, the whole proposal made. It's better to submit once way before the deadline, and then fine-tune your proposal until you submit the final one, so that at least you have, in the worst case, at least one proposal that is submitted. But this is essential, that no proposal that is in draft and remains in draft after 17 hours Brussels time will be taken into account. Regarding the countries, the entities have to be established in, it's as usual. So the member states of the European Union and its overseas countries and territories, and also the associated countries to Horizon Europe. In the guide for applicants and in the documents that you can find in our microsite, you can have access to the link to these associated countries to Horizon Europe. because this list of countries may vary during the time. For example, very recently, a country like Canada was included. So just check if your country is included, if it is not a member of the European Union. For example, Switzerland is not a member of the European Union and is not an associated country to Horizon Europe. Used to be an associated country for H2030, but not for Horizon Europe. So Switzerland is not an eligible country. Next one, please. We say that the main objective of these open goals is to address a certain number of challenges that can be tested in the TEFs, in the testing experimental facilities, and work together with the partners of the ARISE consortium. I'm not going to explain in detail this list of challenges. You have 8 here, but my colleague Francisco is going to dig in detail in every of the challenges, what is the objective, what we are expecting to get from you, etc. But these are also, of course, you need to tackle just one of the challenges, not more than one challenge can be proposed by the team that you are in. Okay, so the next one. Okay, as I say, in the market side, you will find 2 main tabs. One is for the guides and documents, and another one is for the help desk. My colleague Marta was telling you, and we'll explain later, that we are using Discord for the help desk, and you can ask any of the questions that are still not answered today, but every time you will need to or you have any question, please use the help desk. Don't go, please, to the partners of the consortium project of the ARISE consortium, because the idea of the help desk is that we can share all the questions with all the community and with all the applicants, because we might have the same question coming from different potential applicants. So this is the right place and the central place to ask and to answer. We typically answer within 24 hours, depending on the complexity of the question. Sometimes we require some feedback from your side to provide you a proper answer. And the other tab that is essential, of course, is the guides and documents. Okay, so here you can again to access to the Microsoft, you can take a picture of this QR code, and there is a button here, and you can see apply now. That's also what you will find in the, I would say, the front page. And that was the application would start. But before you click to apply now, it is, of course, highly recommended at least to go to the guides and documents and check all the documents we are provided. We can go to the next slide, please. This is what you will find when you go to the guides and documents tab. The first document that is absolutely essential to read prior to making any question or whatever is the guide for applicants, because the guide for applicants is a binding document that is binding for everyone, for you guys, but also for us. And there is a description in detail of all what I am telling you today, and it includes all the eligibility criteria, everything related to the call. And we have a side document, because it is very specific one, which is the technical guidelines. Again, my colleague Francisco will spend some minutes later on to describe in detail this document, actually, to the technical guidelines, because you need to read these guidelines to know exactly what we are expected to get from the challenges you need to address. Another document that is very, I would say, key in this project is the budget. So let me let you know that this project, as many other projects of the Horizon Europe, is a lump sum project. So we are going to pay you these 200,000 euros, not based upon timesheets or justifications of the cost, but based on the work you provide. So you will be asked to provide a certain number of deliverables. I will explain that later. But so we will never ask you to give us invoices or proofs of transfers, anything of that. It's a lump sum. But during this application phase and evaluation phase, we need to know what is your budget estimation and whether this budget is sound or unreasonable or not, and it is in line with with your proposal is about. Sometimes, for example, in your proposal, you can say, we are going to use this equipment or these other services, etc. And then in the budget, we don't have that reflected, or the opposite, you know. So for that, we have established an Excel table that you just need to fulfill. And for that, you will have to click to the budget template, you download the template, you fulfill it in Excel, and then you export that to PDF, and you will have to upload that in the application form. Also, there is a work plan that in addition to the description of the work plan that you will find in the application form, we would like to have this work plan, the Gantt associated. So just for the evaluators to have it clear what is the work plan distribution and work packages, tasks, timeline, etc. Regarding the application form, of course, you will have to apply in the end using the online platform. But to make your life easier, we have included an application form that you can download here in Word format so that you can work offline. And then when you are done, you can pass all this information into the online platform. Why are we providing you with this template? Because if you go directly to the application form online, you need to absolutely include all the text boxes and fulfill them. Otherwise, you cannot save what you are doing. And sometimes in other previous calls, we received some comments from the applicants saying, okay, I was working online, all of a sudden everything disappeared because I couldn't save. So in order for you to be safe, I recommend you to do first the application in Word, work offline, and then upload that. And again, I insist, please, my recommendation is even if it's not the final version of the application, make sure that you have submitted your application before the deadline, before this 5 o'clock Brussels time, and then you can, update in as many times as you wish this application. Otherwise, if you wait until the very last minute, having a draft or your application in draft, it might happen that you are out because you have submitted it at, I don't know, 17:01 or later, and then you are out. And we can do nothing. We won't be able to do anything to recover your application. And then at last, we are also including a template of the subgrant agreement. This is, of course, for those of you who will be selected. You can start checking this subgrant agreement. This is just a draft. It will be, of course, customized, and we'll have time for that. But just for you to make an idea of some clauses that it's important for you to know. So next one, please. Yeah, when you go to the guide for applicants, that I mentioned that this is the critical document, the starting point, I would say, for all of you. What you will find there is, as I say, what we offer, the eligibility criteria, everything that I am explaining to you today is here. How we are going to evaluate your proposal, how the support program is about, and what the payment arrangements. So what I'm doing today is just to synthesize the content of these guides for applicants. And as I say, there is the technical guidelines with the challenges. We have decided to make a specific document, which is a quite long document, but we wanted to provide an aside document so that everything is clear for all of you guys, when you are starting to apply. You will see that in the guide for applicants, there are two annexes. One is called the list of validated end users, and the other one is the list of technology providers. And some of you will wonder why this is there. It's because prior to this, the launch of this open call, what we did is an expression of interest phase. And this expression of interest, many of you maybe applied to it as an end user or as a technology provider. And we made a pre-selection, or actually it's not a pre-selection, it's a validation of end users and technology providers. First comment regarding this. If you apply for the expression of interest and you were not validated as an end user or as a technology provider, of course, you can still apply in this open call. Of course, you will not apply alone because you need to build a team, but it is not eliminatory. I have already received some questions about that. People saying, I was not validated. You can apply, you can build a team, etc. The second comment is that you can use this list to do a kind of matchmaking with a pattern and look for partners. Imagine that you are an end user from Germany and you need a technology provider. There is a list here already validated. The term validated means that the consortium or the RISE consortium think that these companies, these entities meet the requirements and are compliant with our expectations already. So, of course, you can find your own end users, your own sources to find end users or technology providers. But if you contact this list of validated end users or technology providers, you can be sure that these ones meet what we are expecting to get. So it's a kind of, and probably your proposal would be in a better position because, of course, at least you are safe that these guys are good enough, so to speak, in order to be selected. It doesn't mean that you are going to be selected, but at least that in principle, they are qualified as, and they are validated to play the role of an end user or of a technology provider. Next slide, please. This is what you will find when you click to the apply button and the front page of the microsite, and there is a number of sections here. you can see that there is the basic information, the legal information from the entities, and the challenge. Here, you will have to select the challenge. You are only one challenge per team. And then the typical excellence, impact, implementation. These are the sections where you have to explain in detail your proposal. Remember that you have a limitation in the number of characters in each box that you will have to fill. And that's another reason why we have provided you a template in Word so that you can check in Word if you are exceeding the number of characters or not. Because if you exceed the number of characters, your text will be cut, okay? Yeah, the other sections are rather typical ones. Please, of course, in the declaration of honor and the processing of personal data, the questions are rather thought for you to say yes. You know, yeah. Do you? I mean, the idea, and I'm anticipating myself because sometimes, but all the questions are yes or no, and the typical answer has to be yes. Okay, but you will find that when you get into this application. Okay, next one. This is the basic information. As I said, you will have to select the challenge here. Go to the next one, please. This is, as I said, the budget estimation is essential for the evaluators to, at this stage, we are going to take that estimation into account. That's where the 200,000 euros have to be described, where you are going to spend that amount. By the way, if it's a lump sum project, it means that when we are talking about 200,000, is 200,000. I mean, you cannot estimate less than 200,000. And if your estimation is more than 200,000, then the difference, the excess, is to be from your own resources, because we are only going to pay until 200,000. But what can you include in your budget estimation? And that's what you will find in the Excel sheet. In the Excel sheet, you will find the personal cost. You need to detail the costs depending on the position, the role in the project, the dedication, how many hours, months, etc., and the gross monthly salaries of the personnel involved. For example, if there is a manager involved, his gross monthly salary will be sure higher than a junior assistant or whatever. But you need to detail, and you in the Excel file you can add as many rows as you like, but yeah, we need that amount. When I'm talking about gross monthly salary, I mean the salary including, of course, the cost for the company, the labor cost, social cost, everything. So it's the gross salary that needs to be taken into account. There is also some rates that have to also be reasonable. For example, if you say, well, I'm going to spend I'm going to dedicate 3 person months for the whole project. Each person will, its salary is 10,000 euros. Then we might think that it's not appropriate, because depending on the country, this can be. But also, I would recommend that, of course, in your team that you need to describe in the implementation part, there is a balance between senior and junior, okay? Then the mobility, of course, if you need to travel, in this case, probably you will need to travel to the TEFs to understand the requirements, etc., during the implementation part of the experiment. but it might happen that you also need to travel to meet or to have meetings if the members of the team are from different countries. All of that has to be explained and justified, okay? So if you say, my travel expenses will be 10,000 euros, explain that. There is a column in the Excel file for justification of the costs. And one very important thing is that we are including other categories, but these other categories cannot be, as it is said here, part of the core of the experiment. You can purchase equipment, you can purchase other goods and services as required, but they can never be something that it's in the core of the experiment for the solution development or whatever. And another important thing is, and I put that in capital letter, is the subcontracting. You can subcontract some of the tasks, again, that are not core, and you will have to explain that in your proposal if you are using this subcontracting, which is a maximum of 30% of the total budget. So the total amount is 200,000, 60,000 euros will be the maximum that you can subcontract. Now, it is important because typically the maximum amount for the subcontracting is 15%. We have decided to increase this in order for the universities and RTOs to apply not as an end user, because sometimes you will think, okay, as a university, I cannot be an end user, and an industrial, I don't have an industrial facility here. So you can participate somehow here as a subcontractor and provide some elements of the technology, some elements of the solution. If there is any question about exactly what can be subcontracted, there is in the guide for applicants a description, but you can in the QA session later, my colleague Francisco from Fireware can also get into more detail about that. And then another important thing is that apart from that, you have to consider the 25% for overheads. But the calculation, don't worry about that, because in the Excel file, the formula are there. But if you want to do it manually, just to be careful, because the 25% of the overheads apply to the personal costs, to the mobility costs, and to the purchases of equipment and other goods and services, but not to the subcontracting. Okay, this is as it is done in Horizon Europe in general. The next one. So regarding the evaluation process, and I will speed up because I think the session part is already described. The evaluation process, I would say that there are 3 stages for the evaluation. The first one is, well, first there is a first check, what we call the eligibility check, to check if, for example, the team is composed of at least one SME, things like that. Or if the country is included in the eligible countries, things like that. But the main 3 steps is the in-out scope screening. So there is a first filter to be done by the consortium members. So it's an internal evaluation here to check very quickly if your proposal is in the scope of what we are expecting to get. So after that, there will be, for those who pass this screening, and I would say that in theory, most of you should pass that. There is an independent individual evaluation, meaning an external evaluation. We will use 2 experts to evaluate each proposal, and they will rank. After that, there will be a ranking on all these proposals, and the consortium will meet in what we call the consensus meeting, and the selection committee, that is the body that is in charge of this process will select, in this case, 26 proposals to be invited to a jury day. I would say that there are 26 finalists, and then in the jury day, you will have to, these 26, I would say, invited finalists will have to show in a presentation your proposal and explain that in front of a jury, who will then ask you some questions, and after that there will be another consensus meeting between the jurors, and there will be a final decision on what will be the 13, in this case, beneficiaries to be selected for funding. After that, there will be a formal check that will be done by Funding Box, by my company, to check whether you are really an SME, or, I mean, to check the status, the legal status of your entity. And then there will be this sub-grant agreement signature and start the program. Please, next one. Yeah, as I said, there will be a list, you can check a list of validated users and tech providers in the guide for applicants. You can contact them, you will see the name of the company, the country, the declared type of the company, if they are an SME, startup, whatever, the challenge they are focused on. It might happen that if this list, you will see that they can tackle maybe the 8 challenges, but in the end, that's good because they are available, or they validated for more than one challenge. But remember that in the end, in the application, there's only one challenge that needs to be tackled. Okay, next one. This is the last slide, and it's about the support program, and something that is very, it should be interesting for you. As I said, we are talking about a lump sum, which is 200,000 euros per beneficiary, per team, but we are going to pay you against deliverables. So there will be four stages of the support program. The first stage is the individual mentoring plan, then the proof of concept, deployment and experimentation, and then the launch of shareable HRI modules. Each stage will have at least one deliverable to submit, and here you have, so there is one deliverable per stage, except for the stage 2, there will be 2 deliverables, one the proof of concept proposal and the demonstrators of MVPs of reusable HRI modules. So yeah, basically we decided to shift or to segment these 2 stage in 2, so that you can receive a more distributed, balanced amount of money. Okay, I think that's all. Yeah, so I leave the floor to my colleague Francisco, and of course, in the Q&A session, I will be happy to answer to all your questions. Francisco, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Antonio. Well, hello, everyone. This session was called in-depth overview of industrial HRI challenges. And what Aníbal and I have done is to organize it so that we go through the technical guidelines, some comments on the SSH, and then Aníbal will go in depth per challenge. What is it that we are targeting for? What are the target skills? I mean, what is going on in our testing and experimentation facilities that we want to augment with your projects? So let's jump into the technical guidelines. Well, what is the ARISE technical framework and all this thing of the all-in-one middleware? What is it about, and what is it for? Well, the project has a purpose, which is accelerating real-world scenarios of collaborative robotics applications in workplaces. And well, it is an emerging domain. We are well aware that human-robot interaction in workplaces is not at all something widespread, but the objective is that we identify those scenarios where this human-robot interaction is meaningful, and by extending the scope of the interaction and let's say the prolonged nature of the interaction for delivering added value to the company, we are demonstrating how HRI can make some room in the market for industrial end users. So objectives: enhance human performance in challenging tasks. Second objective, increase the inclusiveness and safety of the industrial workplace thanks to the technology, so that let's say we are democratizing the access of humans to different jobs, independent of the, let's say, physical skills or the age condition, whatever it is. This is the main objective. The scope is that using open source technologies and some off-the-shelf tools and utilities, we enable this virtuous cycle of creating industrial HRI in an agile, cost-effective, and let's say sustainable way for bringing innovative solutions into the market. Next, please. So if we want to summarize the technical framework and let's say 3 major pillars, we are presenting this way. First of all, we are bringing a harmonized model for the development of collaborative robotics applications. And our approach is that collaborative robotics applications are developed in a modular way. We have a 3-level stack for modeling the applications: skills, tasks, and mission. What is the mission? The mission is something that when you switch on the robot is gonna do that mission forever. And if you need to change the mission of the robot, then you need to switch off the robot, reconfigure something, and run it again. So the runtime has only one single mission. Then tasks are processes that cover one particular segment of the mission. A sequence of tasks just get the mission achieved. So these are kind of task plans, task plots, some kind of sequence of procedures that are necessary for the robot to fulfill the objectives, while skills are just subtasks or actions that the robot needs to implement. It could be a skill that a particular model allows a robot to detect and recognize some particular object. For instance, in a sorting line, types of plastics. This could be a skill. It could be a skill, particular assistant that allows the robot to interact in natural language with a worker that is working on disassembly tasks. This could be a skill. So my robot is now able to interact in one particular task using natural language. It could be that the skill allows the robot for grasping particular objects with very complex shapes. These kind of things are embedded in a skill, and then the skill is some kind of crucial ability for the robot to get a task accomplished. This is the idea. And the point of the program is that at least one of these skills must be implemented using ROS2, and in particular, the Vulkan-Nexus distribution of ROS2, which is targeting commercial performance. It's kind of a commercial grade distribution for the regular ROS2. This is directly connecting with a recurrent question we receive. Does it need to be my collaborative robotics application fully implemented using ROS2 or Vulkan-Nexus or whatever technology that ARISE is bringing to us? Not at all. If you already have your robot platform or your monolithic service encapsulated with whatever approach you are using. That's perfectly fine. And Arise is not intended to be intrusive, to replace whatever you have. But the program and the European Commission is looking for reusable robot skills. So what we need is that you show whatever you have, whatever infrastructure you're starting from, and go through this life cycle of creating innovative skills and then connecting it to your solution. And for this is this minimum requirement: at least one skill must be implemented using ROS2 and integrated with your platform using ROS2. So for those that are technical people in the webinar, consider that whatever your platform is, you will create some kind of wrapper to export a ROS2 interface and connect the skill you are going to develop in the program. Second point. This is just a side note. If you want to get into details on how we are structuring the level of abstractions, mission, tasks, what is the common harmonized development model we are presenting, please visit this link, because in here PAL Robotics is describing quite well in a brief and concise manner what is the overall spirit of the development model. Now, yes, please, let's jump into the second point. Yeah, common middleware. This is the second point in which we want applicants to really commit to showcase. ROS2, and in particular Vulcanexus, is targeting an open solution for actual industrial tech providers to use it as the shop floor middleware. Let's say in an ideal situation, we would be using ROS2 for a distributed control system. This could be the idea. So what we want in the RISE project is that in advanced cases, you go beyond the skill implementation and use ROS2 as your middleware for integrating, let's say, if you have multi-robots, to coordinate those multiple robots. If you want to coordinate some kind of events that are captured by a real-time camera. If you are at some point receiving an industrial IoT event because the conveyor is emitting some signals, whatever integration for your shop floor workstations that could be explored with ROS2, this is a means to, let's say, presenting your proposal that you're really trying to align with the RISE program. So first of all, skill implementation, compulsory thing, then ROS2 as a shop floor middleware, as a common shop floor middleware. This is kind of a bonus feature that we are targeting for. Third point, the analytics data plane. This field and shop floor integration, just connecting with the machinery and field devices, is what we are referring to as operational plane. So there is data in motion with close to real-time requirements demanding in latency, in reliability, in determinism. And then we do have this analytical plane, often closer to the IT world. And in here we have examples, how to benefit from AI models that exist out there and require some kind of huge computational resources. What about running simulations, which is also the case for large computational resources? How to build reusable and agile operational dashboards? How to integrate with heterogeneous API protocols? And very relevant, how to interact with the top floor systems, such as ERP, CRMs, warehouse management systems, laboratory information management systems, or this hybrid stack with the manufacturing execution system, or even SCADA thing. But to me, SCADA is more on the operational plane. How to integrate with this? Through the analytical plane. And for this, we are also giving you this common middleware. Based on these three pillars, we have the entire vision and this, let's say the contribution we are making to you guys for the implementation of your projects. Let's go to the next slide, please. Previous, yeah, this one. Yeah, the point is that we have developed already a technology around the context broker technology, the Fireware technology, that connects ROS2 with Fireware and NGS-ILD interfaces for the IT part. And this will be given to you off the shelf. So you will have a component or ION-LD that is an application server that natively supports ROS2 and Fireware interfaces. And you will have to do nothing. It's just a configuration file in which you put this ROS2 topic matches this entity in the analytical plane. This ROS2 topic matches this one. And then you just run the context broker, and whatever data source or data consumer is running in the operational plane, in the collaborative robotics application, deeply embedded in a skill, or outside in external system for simulation in the analytical plane, every single system will interact with your solution, just interacting with the context broker, whether using HTTP or NGS-ILD or ROS2 interfaces. So what is this powerful tool bringing in? So separation of concerns. You can just develop your collaborative robotics application, solve it. You have your ROS2 interfaces. You can put it, connect it to the context broker. If at some point in the operational plane you have devices, field devices to integrate with ROS2, you have already your integration served. And if you need to go beyond the field devices level and integrate with IT systems, the technology is also ready and the same interfaces are valid. So this is the overall idea around the technical framework. Next, please. Well, that was all about the introduction to the framework. And now I have prepared this section to guide you through what we are looking for in a proposal. I have seen just a pop-up with the question, and I think I can take this one right now, and we don't need to wait to the Q&A. For instance, what we are going to ask people as a compulsory deliverable in the execution of the projects, we'll consider this robot skill encoded in ROS2, embedded in a robotic platform that is bringing the solution for industrial HRI. And there are interfaces using Modbus or serial protocol, whatever it is, along with this ROS2 skill, and then the solution for automation is there. What is the context broker doing? It's connecting with all these solutions through the ROS2 part, but we will ask you to implement a condition monitoring application for your collaborative robotics application. In that part, we will have IT features such as Grafana or time series databases or complex event processors. All of them will be able to interact with your machinery thanks to the context broker, because you will decouple the IT problem from the robotics problem. And let's say these IT systems, which often work using HTTP or industrial IoT protocol, will be seamlessly integrable with your robot thanks to the context broker. This is the overall idea of the all-in-one middleware. Convergence between operational technologies and IT technologies. Well, let's go for it. Point one, identifying opportunities for collaboration. Let's go next one. Yeah, what we have done, you will find the details in the technical guidelines documents, but we are giving you context and then putting a checklist. The checklist is more elaborated in the document, but in here I have put the highlights for it. So eligible consortium. Yes, there are these rules that Antonio presented before, but I want to share with you really the spirit of the program. We are looking for end users who are actually in the need for improving the workplace so that they are more competitive. And this is considering the enhancement of the human labor. It is not that we are doing automation as usual and just want to automate a process. We are looking for cases in which the human can be accelerated, and that results in better business. This is what we are looking for. On the tech provider side, we are looking those technology providers who really want to enter the market and who really want to sell themselves as the providers that know how to accelerate people. This is the tech provider that should lead the consortium, and the tech provider shall be the owner of the potential solution and the one that knows how to market it. Subcontracting, it could be devoted to one particular robot skill, it could be devoted to the creation of the ROS2 interfaces, but the overall product that will result from the project shall be owned by the tech provider. This is what we are looking for, this kind of pairs of organization that identify their matching. Third-party support. We know you might not have all the skills for the development in-house, and that is why we have flexibilized the subcontracting threshold. So please, it is, and we will share with the evaluators, it is good to have third parties. It is good as long as you have identified a clear perimeter that needs a collaborator to jump in and help so that we get the quality we are targeting. And then third point in checklist number one is you must select only one challenge. And it is just strategic that you identify which of the challenges will give more opportunities to your proposal to make it through the selection process. Let's go for the second checklist. Drafting proposals ideas. So before you start filling the regular application form, what is what you, let's say, need to do in the ideation phase? So identify the need. And in here, very important so that you start from the right angle. The end user defines what is the problem to be addressed. It's relevant that the solution is targeting an actual need. This is essential. And if you start from a different thing, then it's more than likely that you will not be really addressing the needs of the project as we are looking for it. Then potential for added value. This is quite relevant, and this is more targeting the tech provider side. It must be human-centric. Accelerating the human is the key part, but then you should be able to formulate it in a way that is catchy to the end users and domain experts. If it is deeply embedded in whatever technical aspect that is relevant only to you, tech providers, but end users can hardly identify added value, then just refine your value proposition for the proposal, because we need all of us to understand, including end users and prioritizing end users, they need to understand what you are proposing as a technical contribution. And then, and this is a requirement from the European Commission, we must go beyond the status quo in industrial human-robot interaction. And exactly what is asked for us to contribute is that human-robot interactions, when extended in time and scope beyond the current state of the art for the industry, enable better workplaces and improved performance. So this shall be your driver when creating the proposal idea. Let's go for the third checklist and final one. Yes, shaping the overall strategy and technical approach. What is the point? That this program is trying to put in place and accelerate an ecosystem which benefits from open source based innovation. And it's essential that you want to explore how and commit to engage in a program that builds on open source models. So does it mean that everything is open source? No. And in fact, it is more than likely that it will be commercial after the project. But you need to understand how to interact with the open source model, or at least you must have a will for understanding it. And it's that one particular model can be on open source, can build on open source. You could create something, let's say, kind of the open core approach, in which your open core is a reference, and then the add-ons are marketable products, or even collaborators could create add-ons on top of your open core. This is the idea, and I encourage you to explore open source models so that you can really make your proposal a fit for the program. Then about the Arise technology stack, what is the role of ROS2, Fireware? What are the bonus features? Well, I listed what are the compulsory requirements. Is at least one robot skill implemented using ROS2 and integrated with the platform. Then the condition monitoring application using Fireware. Bonus features are those scenarios in which you really are able to share with evaluators that you understand the value proposition we are creating in Arise, that you are open to use ROS2 not in one single skill, but even as a common middleware to the robot platform or to your shop floor, that you have a clear use case to go beyond the condition monitoring application in Fireware because you want to integrate with your manufacturing execution system, with your ERP, with some particular simulator for doing virtual commissioning. This kind of use cases which go beyond the robot skill and the condition monitoring application shall be presented as advanced cases and targeting the bonus feature that will give you the excellent scoring in the excellence section. And then the demonstrator. This is also relevant. Whatever idea you present, you must have in mind that in the first month of the project, you will implement the individual mentoring plan, which is the execution plan of the project. And 4 months later, you must deliver a demonstrator, a proof of concept, which is understandable by any single stakeholder inside the Arise ecosystem, and it's running. So you must structure your idea in a way that in 4 months, you have your first functional prototype. For instance, if you are going to develop a gripper from scratch and integrate it in the application, it is more than likely that you do not have this proof of concept ready by that time. The starting point shall be established in something you are already familiar with. And then the final thing is that you must also present a coherent strategy that allows you to take the POC to TRL 6-7 in 5 months. So just present what is your roadmap for it. That's it for this part. Just let's say as a summary for you in a snapshot, what will be the journey if your proposal gets awarded? Well, you had these end user requirements driving whatever the idea of the proposal was. You will jump into the Arise program. The mentors will work on you on creating the work plan. We call it individual mentoring plan. Then you will run into the proof of concept phase, month 5 of the project. And then you will work on this business case demonstrator. And it is not only that you demonstrate the functionality, but you will experiment to demonstrate those KPIs that validate the hypothesis you were bringing in the proposal. And from there, from all of this experimentation, final thing is that you will iterate over the robot skill so that it becomes this open source based product that could be part of the Arise catalog. The catalog will feed the Arise ecosystem, and then we will jump into the second round of experiments with a larger ecosystem in which perhaps even opportunities for you to market your reusable robot skill with second round applicants are emerging. So this is more or less the summary. Final slide is these frequently asked questions that are overlapping with the technical requirements. I took advantage of the Discord channel to bring here some common questions. So RTOs, universities, are they available? Are they admissible? Well, this is something I want to share with you so that you understand what is exactly the spirit and purpose of the program. To me, an RTO or university cannot play the role of the tech provider that is wanting to make business around the outcome of the project. So in the role of tech provider, I would say that RTOs and universities cannot be the main partner of the proposal. But what about the end user side? Well, in the end user side, we need this industrial company being relevant and being the driver of the use case. But an RTO or university could present itself as the main partner, given that they have the facilities to run the TRL 6.7 demonstrator. And what we will tell evaluators is that they must evaluate the credibility of this RTO university in justifying why they are exactly working in the industry. It is that they have the endorsement of industrial company because they do have a long-term collaboration. Look for this type of letter of endorsement. It is that, let's say, the RTO or university is presenting as end user, and in the subcontracting, there is already budget for running demonstrations in the plant of the end user. Do whatever you want, just have in mind, for us, the ideal situation is that the industrial company is the end user. If in your context, your RTO or your university is worth the role of end user, just please add all the explanation you have in mind so that the evaluators understand this as credible approach to technology transfer to the industry. That's it. That's the oral message. Then eligible countries. I know that Antonio has a link to an explicit document where all the listed countries are straightforward to identify whether they are admissible or not. And then the use case, industry sector, application domain. We have prioritized manufacturing, logistics, and healthcare sector. But since we do have logistics and manufacturing, almost every single production industry is in. Application domain, we have disassembly, we have multiple, we have sorting, we have multiple application domains. But whenever the skill is relevant to the challenge, just please feel free to create the story in a way that it aligns to the challenge, and we will not tell you that you are wrong because you are working on one particular sector that is not explicitly mentioned in the task. So please align with the purpose of the challenge. This is the key point. And then terminology. If we enter in this domain, we have human-robot interaction, human-robot collaboration, cobots, collaborative robotics application. There are a number of overlaps between all of these concepts. What we have done is to go for the concept of collaborative robotics application as a default. And why is that? Because it is this tendency that a robot platform is not collaborative per se, but it is the application what makes it collaborative. Human-robot interaction has multiple levels, and collaboration means explicitly sharing the task space and even going to sequential interaction with the robot in the same space, or in the top level of the ambition, being the human able to on purpose contact the robot to reshape the flow of the action. So we are targeting as much as possible to get into this ideal situation, but we understand that going beyond the state of the art in human-robot interaction can be just reduced at some point in making safer the shared task space for the robot and the human. This is for you experts to create the right value proposition so that your approach is credible. Then questions we receive: what is ROS2? What is FIWARE? Why should I use them? I elaborated on this in the previous sections, but I am available for you if at some point you need me to elaborate further details on this part. And then the deliverables, demonstrator, 2 series, proof of concept, TRL 6.7, they must be, let's say, timely delivered so that we get these last 2 months of the projects for the curation of the reusable robotic skills. This is the key point, the timely delivery of the demonstrator. And then reusable model, open source. You will not be forced to keep the product open source, but at least the reference implementation must be open source. This means that if some particular algorithm or some particular add-ons has the potentiality to have IP for you, structure your model so that it is already an added value core that your IP can be attached to. And we need to contribute this core as open source. From there on, you could do whatever you want with your exploitation plan, but at least one open source release for the reference implementation with a default functional behavior and your IP feature being premium or commercial distribution must be in there. And I think that's all from my side. Yes, now we do have some slides for complementary dimension, which is the human centricity of the solutions we are targeting. Aníbal will go for it, and then we'll jump into the description of the challenges.
Thank you, Francisco. I will proceed with our SSH framework and mentoring program. So the purpose with this SSH framework that we are trying to bring human centricity at the core of all our development is to embed these ethical and legal and societal considerations into the technological developments that we want to do, and also to ensure this contextualization of the innovation around human-centric aspects. We have some key elements like ethical principles and an impact assessment for our designs from the point of view of the human centricity. We are also building on related industry standards and European regulations. We are creating a co-development toolkit for making these collaborative robotic applications comply with our SSH principles. And of course, based on our work in the testing experimental facilities, we are having these reference use cases. So in practice, this framework will be a toolkit rather than this one-size-fits-all solution. We will deliver and we will share with you some specifications and recommendations and some guidelines and tools to help you with this SSH analysis and compliance. And of course, we are having a pool of SSH experts that will help you along your journey during your FSCP experiment. In a nutshell, this framework is consisting of these two main elements, that is the ethical impact assessment and this co-development toolkit that will drive our ARISE human robotic interaction ethical principles. So we are, for example, for the impact assessment, we are relying on established tools like the one established by the Siena framework. We will collect the typical ethical and questions in different HRI projects, and we are creating this guideline for integration of ethics assessment into the human-robot interaction developments. From the point of view of the toolkit, of the co-development toolkit, we want to engage with different stakeholders to map in their needs and to increase this engagement in an iterative way. And we are also evaluating other possible tools like foresight tools or some participatory methods or workshop formats. It's something that we are working on right now. And once you start with the project, we will share with you all the final tools and all the final support from our side. Then this is another part of the journey with us in the project. That is our mentoring program, that we have these 4 different services regarding the integration. all the standards and interoperability issues around our middleware. This open source or this expected reusable models that we want from your side, it will have also, we will have, you will have us along the journey with this. And of course, a support service specifically devoted to the SSH aspects. And last but not least, the business support to improve this marketability of the proposed solutions by, for example, a lean acceleration that will go from the value proposition to the exploitation plan at the end of your project. To finalize with the webinar, our idea is to tell you a little bit more in detail about these challenges that we defined from the beginning of the project, and we have refined based on our testing experimental facilities. We have these 4 experimental facilities at Cardiff, at Intellimec, at PAL Robotics, and the Politecnico de Milano. Each of us has undertake 2 different challenges, and now I will tell you a little bit about each of them. The first one is the dismantling and assembly of high-value products. The objectives and the impact of these challenges is, of course, to have these reusable skills for assisted assembly or disassembly, to increase the efficiency of the safety and to reduce the workload reduction. The features for the robotics skills that we are looking for and that we have also started to test in our testing experimental facility will be this real-time 3D object perception, like for example, to localize a screw in a piece. Also to integrate these mixed reality interfaces, to recognize in a robust way voice commands to make a more natural interaction, and to have multi-frame robotics to make some coordination about different among different robotics aspects. And of course, we are prioritizing SSH aspects like data protection and privacy principles, and also the ethical handling on human data. Below, you can see our take on this dismantling and assembly of high-value products. Is just an inspirational example for you if you decide to apply for this first challenge. You can see here, for example, an HoloLens-based human-robotic interaction for an assisted screw driving. So we are capturing the workspace's images. With our mixed reality glasses, we provide real-time information to the worker, and together with the robot, we can select the different screws and let the robot make the disassembly or the unscrewing operation. And the idea is that we will have this efficiency and safety of the operation while maintaining the ethics and the human-centric standards. The next challenge is challenge number 2, is about collaborative with collaborative human robot in industrial warehouses. Of course, related objectives and impact. I'm not going to go into all the details, but for example, the skills that we are exploring here is this real-time of the object detection and classification. In our case, we made it in a test example with fruit classification and quality control. Also, this natural language interpretation by a large language model, and external components and robot coordination, like for example, a conveyor that is able to, where the robot is able to leave the picked fruit. So here you can see our approximation for these challenges, just an inspiration for you if you decide to choose this challenge. The robot interprets the orders of the human, the camera searches the requested fruit. So for example, pick that apple or pick that orange, and the robot picks up the fruit and returns some feedback to let the worker, so he or she is aware that the operation was done correctly. And also the idea is to increase the productivity and the flexibility on these, for example, quality control tasks. The third challenge is about flexible collaborative robots. This has been selected and implemented by Intellimec. So this is a modular robotic setup with physical ergonomic monitoring. Their objectives and impact is to provide robotics workstations that are adaptable and to variable production requirements in terms of hardware and software configuration. They are also monitoring the ergonomic part of the worker, and for the robotic skills, so they are having this modular hardware and software setup. They have also this multi-purpose robotic setup, and to estimate the ergonomic effort, a 3D body tracking pose estimation that with what they are able to calculate this physical ergonomics index. In this example that has been done to implement, to inspire you about this challenge, number 3, they have this, they are having this development of the ARISE framework that are compliant with the software modules. They are using these ROS4HRI modules, so you are able to enable this 3D body tracking and the ergonomic index calculation. And for example, just an example, based on our middleware, they are able to feed this ergonomic index through a firewall proof of concept to enable some ergonomic tasks and monitoring on the other part of the application. The challenge of this TEF from Intellimec is about the smart programming. The idea here is to enable workers without big programming skills to be able to interact in a natural way and to program the workstation in an easy and intuitive way. The feature for robotic skills that they are looking for or they are developing is this intuitive human-robotic interaction, this human-robotic interaction interface for making this programming in a more easily and intuitive way. An intuitive programming node where they are able to register an effector pose or activate different tools, and an intuitive execution mode. Regarding their sample implementation of these challenges, they made this human-robotic interaction programming intuitive interface for generic tasks like picking and so on. So they are developing this human-centric requirements gathering with some software developments for the interface, for the intuitive interface management, and the development of the programming and execution of the different let's say, activities of the robot. We changed from the industrial scenario to the more social and health scenario from our colleagues from PAL Robotics. This is the challenge number 5, where this challenge is about enhancing robots' functionality through multimodal human-robotic interactions. Their objectives were creating this example of implementation was that to adapt these technologies to humans and not the opposite, by means, for example, of co-design, and to have these enhanced and natural multimodal interactions using verbal gestures, visual cues. The features they are looking for the robotic skills, so they have this social and 3D spatial scene understanding. For example, the robot understands the objects and people around it. This needs for non-verbal cues recognition and understanding to share the space and the intentions, and to bridge semantic models and LLMs. Of course, here in this challenge, the SSH aspects are also very relevant, like, for example, the explicit management of personal data or the behavior transparency and explainability regarding the robot, and also the inclusivity of interaction with other persons. An example that they did based on inspired by this challenge was this interactive learning session, where the users in an interactive learning environment, for example, the robot is able to coach or assistant, for example, to acquire the user a new hobby skill. The idea is to have a mix. They are implementing a mix of verbal and non-verbal communications that include, for example, gesture recognition or robot gesture synthesis. And they are also defining metrics to measure the successfully and experiment to validate the experiments with actual users. In the same idea of the PAL robotics partner, the challenge number 6 is more in the healthcare environment, where the idea is to fetch and carry tasks in healthcare environment. So they are looking for, from the point of view of the objectives, to look for routine tasks, for example, in healthcare, to design with and for the care staff. So the robots are able to reduce the workload, to improve the care quality, and somehow the feeling by the staff, the owning of the technology. Relatively similar features like in the previous challenge they are looking for, like social and 3D spatial scene understanding, and in this case, social navigation and an appropriate user interface and user experience to interact with the robot. For example, the example that they are building inspired by this challenge was this automated transport of medical samples in a healthcare facility. They undertake this co-design with end users, so the robot is able to carry out this in a ward. They implemented a safe and robust social navigation in a complex human environment like a hospital is. And like I said, they co-design the user interface and user experience, for example, regarding mobile applications to interact with the robots. And also the corresponding experimental validation with users at laboratory or in an actual hospital. The last two challenges, the first one is the challenge number 7, where we are looking for human-robot interaction for improving the efficiency of workers in high-precision flexible tasks. For example, the inspirational example that our colleagues from Politecnico di Milano developed is this automatic workspace setup for example, for printed circuit board desoldering. So the robot is able to identify a defective PCB and components. The PCB is transported to the reworking station by, for example, a mobile robotic, an AGV in this case, and the system is able to identify the suitable tools for the soldering or soldering components. So the robot is able to pick and place of the tools in the working area for the operator and to facilitate the overall operation. And the last challenge, the number 8, is also from our colleagues from Politecnico de Milano, is the human-robot interaction for improving this ergonomics in high-precision tasks. So the idea is that the operators has a ergonomically friendly into the workplace. They want to improve the human ergonomics and increasing the human comfort for many hours of work, especially with this high-precision task. The features that they are looking for in terms of robotic skills is this active posture assessment, the real-time adaptation of the working environment, and also this intuitive human-robotic interface for active communication with operator and robot. So they are identifying the operator in the example, in inspiring example, they are identifying this assessment of operator posture to detect and transcribe the operator vocal commands, to classify the operator intent and to adapt the location of the robot based on the visual posture and assessment based on this operator intent. And that's it from our side. Like I said, these are you have to choose one of the challenges. we, in this first year of the project, we made an inspirational example of how we intended to address these challenges, but now it's up to you to choose the challenge that you think is more appropriate and to following all the rules and all the technical requirements to address the challenge in whatever way you find more appropriate for your especially from the point of view of the end user needs. And then I think that we are over with the presentation and we are ready for beginning the Q&A session.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Hannibal. Thank you to all you, dear experts, for your presentations. I believe that the vast majority of the questions sent on chat were already answered, but I will quote some of them just as a summary, and also there are some new ones that I will address to our experts. So first one is to you, Antonio. Budget-wise, is the funding the minimis for the companies?
No, as I say, here there is no limitation, no constraints. It's just a limitation of 200,000 euros per beneficiary. So you build up your budget without worrying about any other funding that it can be there from the European Union. It's completely independent.
Thank you. And the next one is, can the tech provider and end user organization be from the same country, for example, from the United Kingdom?
Provided, I mean, of course, the two members of the team can be from the same country. Nothing is saying against. It can be cross-border or national. Regarding the United Kingdom and other countries that are eligible or not, please, I refer, as I said, to the guide for applicants, where you have all the details of the countries that, not being in the European Union, are associated to Horizon Europe. If I'm not wrong, I think the United Kingdom is part of the countries, but please check that in the guide for applicants, where you have a link directly to the updated list of countries that are associated to Horizon Europe.
Thank you, Antonio. Francisco, will the Arise open source middleware require a tight integration for their solution, or can they develop an adaptable product that will maintain compatibility with various systems?
Well, I think I went through this question with the contents in the presentation, but if you already have a system, you can keep it. The only and compulsory requirement is that one single skill is implemented as a ROS2 package. You know, in ROS2 packages, sometimes there is an embedded technology that is not ROS2. It's encapsulated as a monolithic service. That's perfectly fine, but you will compete with the proposals with this idea you're bringing for your ROS2 skills. Then you could rely on whatever technology you are comfortable with and integrate it using a wrapper. That's it.
Thank you. I believe that the next one is to Antonio. When will the contract be made public? Background IPR.
You're
muted, Antonio.
So I'm not sure to understand the question. The contract made public, you mean the sub-grant agreement between, in this case, Funding Box and the beneficiaries? They are not made public. So the contracts are not made public. So I'm not sure if
maybe it's about the template, if it's already available, the sub-grant template, right?
I mentioned that there is one of the documents when you go to the guides and documents in the microsite. One of the documents Okay. The signed grant agreement is coming. Well, it's coming soon. Okay, let me check, but yeah, it is available. The only thing is that we need to upload it to the microsite. But it is just a draft, huh? So don't take that. We will upload it as soon as possible, but bear in mind that it's just a draft, and of course it will be customized when time comes.
Thank you. There is a lot of questions that were addressed a few times also by Antonio and Francisco, so I will skip them. But anyway, if you are still missing information on them, please ask them on Discord. As for example, can Swiss apply to the call? Antonio basically used the example of Switzerland, so I will skip that. But there is another one that is quite interesting. Did I understood correctly? There is a 30% owned funding rate for the companies involved, Antonio. Is it true?
Again, I'm not sure to understand. 30% is of subcontracting. So this means that is 60,000 euros maximum for subcontracting non-core tasks. So if you are a team, imagine a technology provider that is an SME and an end user that is another SME or whatever, a company, then if the RTO, the university, would like to be involved as a technology provider, the only way is to be subcontracted by the team, and only for, as I say, non-core tasks. There is in the guide for applicants a description of what are the tasks that are considered that can be subcontracted, but in any case, we would need to know exactly what kind of activities and tasks you would like to do as a, if you are an RTO or university as a subcontractor. We would need to know exactly what kind of activities and tasks. And for this, I recommend you to use the help desk. You explain your specific situation, and we will let you know if you are compliant or not.
Thank you. And can the same SME apply to two different challenges if it does so with a different consortium for each other? Or is it limited to applying to only one?
Okay, so one application is one challenge. So if you are an SME, a company X, and you would like to apply to two different challenges, you would need to apply in two different applications, okay? Two different teams, I would say. And then if you go through the evaluation process and you imagine that both of them would be eligible and potentially selected, we will only select one of them, okay? You could go eventually to the jury day in two different applications because your proposals are very good, but in the end, only one would be selected, the highest ranked. I don't know if I'm answering the question.
Thank you. And when is the anticipated start date of the project? I believe it is about the start of the project, the collaboration between the consortium.
Okay, so on the 16th of January, there will be this deadline. So after that, we need to do the evaluation process and selection process. That can take almost 1 month and a half, something like that. And then there is a 4-month check that we need to do, plus the grant agreement signature. We are thinking to start on the 1st of May, well, 2nd of May, 2025. So in May, this is the starting, the foreseen starting date of the program.
Thank you. And Francisco, when you were explaining the framework, there was a question from Marco. Can you do a practical example of this framework?
Yes, well, I elaborated this because I saw the question on the fly. It is this exercise of converging operational and informational technologies. The way we are presenting it is that from the development of a robot skill using ROS2 up to the interface of the collaborative robotic application, up to the IT application for condition monitoring, you are only using one middleware, which is enabled by the context broker with DDS. And this is the overall idea that we do have. Then we could pivot to a number of systems, but this type of convergence is the essence of the framework. We are working on a demonstrator for those who are familiar with the ROS2 environment, the Turtle Scene Simulator, integrated with the context broker and with a Grafana dashboard with time series analytics, all packed in a very simple tutorial, such as the Turtle Sim tutorial, so you can play with it. We have this ready, and we are documenting it, and we will share with, we will make it public even before the deadline of the proposals. But this is the idea. If someone needs, let's say, further explanations, just feel free to reach out through the channel. I could jump into your example to try to make it clearer for you.
Thank you. Antonio, does subcontractors also need to be from funding eligible countries?
Yes.
Okay. There was a question regarding voice command seats, but this is something that Francisco already answered. Let me go down with the chat. Yes, there is a question if the presentation from today will be shared. Yes, it will be shared with you, both on the Arise open call microsite, and also I will send it to you after our webinar. Okay, please could you confirm if startups act as SMEs and fulfill the call requirements?
As I say, we are including startups as SMEs in this project. So, I mean, if your company, because the startup has different definitions in the European arena, and the different countries have a definition that can be different from the European Commission one. So we decided that startup for us will be equivalent to an SME. So an SME can be a user, can be a technology provider, can be both. So no worries.
Thank you. I believe I will ask only the last one question, and for the rest questions that are without any answers, I will copy them to our Discord channel, and you will find the answers there. I will ask you experts later to just answer them on Discord. So this last question is it possible to have two different end users from two different countries for the same challenge as a technology provider?
If I'm not wrong, if I understand correctly the question, it's about a team composed of more than 2 members, 1 technology provider and 2 end users. Is that the question?
No. 2 different end users from 2 different countries for the same challenge as technology provider. I believe one of them will be also the technology provider.
To be honest, I still don't understand. I mean, if the person who made the question can raise his hand or her hand, because to my understanding is I don't know. I don't know if anyone else can understand the question, but 2 different end users from 2 different
Francisco raised the
as technology provider is I don't understand the question.
Yes, my question to this participant would be, are you meaning the tech provider presenting 2 different applications with 2 different end users, or in one single application being 1 tech provider and 2 different end users? That is the first question. Then if it happens that is the second case, you have the tech provider, with 2 end users, I would go for a leading end user and a subcontracted end user. And this could be really a good story that you already consider replication inside the project. That's perfectly fine. But it depends on what was the original idea of your question.
Yeah, and you will also have some limitation of the budget. If you are able to do it with the budget, so go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for the answers on the presentation. So as I mentioned before, I will copy paste your questions that weren't answered yet to our help desk on Discord, and I will tag our experts to answer them. Apart from that, those of you who gave the consent to receive marketing communication will receive from me emails, first of all, with the webinar recording, with the presentation, and also with link to Discord to our help desk. What is also very important to be mentioned is that we'll have a second webinar, also in a very similar convention, to answer all the questions that you might have. And it will happen on the 2nd of December from 10 o'clock. And it will be announced on our social media, and also you will receive an information from me on your inboxes regarding that second webinar. Thank you very much to all the participants. Thank you very much, experts, and we will see each other in less than a month on a second webinar.
Thank you, Marta.